There are parts of the world where few of us would dare go. Where terrain is tough and temperatures unforgiving. And where mysterious myths and infamous legends still linger in the shadows. I'm Francesca Chiorando, and I'm on a mission to discover some of the most treacherous corners of the globe.
Dangerous!
Yeah, sorry! Ah!
Some scary, and others dangerous.
Genuinely thought I might die.
Places where the landscape has shaped its people. Are these really some of the most challenging places on Earth?
This place hits every single one of your senses with a sledgehammer.
And what will I discover when I get there?
I'm in Cornwall, an ancient Celtic kingdom on England's rugged southwestern tip. The way the landscape opens up from a tiny cove up to this magnificent harbour, it just takes your breath away. And the first thought that hits you is pirates. It's no wonder they loved it here. You can picture them sneaking around in this cove.
This is a region defined by its rugged coastline. But it's not just a place where pirates and smugglers roamed. It's also famous as a haven for witches. Cornwall is England's most southerly county. It's so remote it was almost lawless until the 1900s.
With its geographical location virtually cut off from the rest of the UK, the Cornish have developed a fierce cultural identity where historically outsiders haven't always been welcomed.
On my journey into the unknown, I'm going to be getting up close and personal with two of my greatest fears: shipwrecks and open water. Learning about the culture of smuggling that this area is famous for.
Well, this is the home of smuggling, really. It was just rife down here. It was a way of life.
And travelling into a subject that has always fascinated me: witchcraft. First impressions are of a very spooky place. But what's out there? Do witches still exist? If they do, what are they like? I want to find out why witches and smugglers flourished here. To seek out those Cornish witches, I need to establish where they might gather at night. If I'm going to immerse myself into this world, I need to think and feel like a witch. And I've read that step one is to visit a place used by them for casting spells. And that's why I'm hiking to a pagan site famous for ritual and magic. The Menon toll stones are 3,500 years old. No one really knows why they're here or what they're for, but it's thought the stones were part of a burial tomb once. Bones were thought to be handed out to the sick to improve health. Women who crawled through the hole were supposed to become more fertile.
There's something quite fascinating about them. I think if you came here and you didn't know what they were and you weren't expecting to see them, you'd be drawn to them. I must say, though, I do want to keep touching them. And what's really strange is they're actually warm to the touch. They definitely feel quite powerful in a really weird way. Now I've just got to decide where I'm going to set up my tent. Right now, I don't find these stones particularly creepy, but I know when it's dark, they'll really start to scare me, so I prefer somewhere they're not right in my vision. I think the first thing I'm going to learn tonight is how to put a tent up.
Out here alone on the moor, it's easy to think I'm being watched. And as it grows darker, the men untold stones are starting to really creep me out. In my research, I've read witches are a lot different to the way they are presented in the movies.
I suppose the absolute stereotype of witches, the cliché, the cartoon or the Hollywood image is green skin, big nose, warts, hats, cauldrons, spell books, black cats, rickety little cottage. I imagine it's not going to be true. I've never seen anyone that looks like that, but then again, I've never met a witch.
Somewhere remote like the Cornish moors floods my mind with different thoughts and feelings. The solitude is calming, but as it grows darker, I feel the need to head for safety. I've discovered an ancient instinct in me, which says when night falls, you retreat into your cave to keep all those creatures away who occupy the night. There could be spirits, witches, or vampires out there. Something could easily rip its way through this flimsy tent.
It's just gone midnight. It's absolutely freezing out here. It's deathly silent until there's a noise. And then you hear it.
Something strange is going on here. I can hear distant sounds like voices.
By blade, by will, and by breath,
So shall it be.
so shall it be.
I'm pretty sure I didn't really get any sleep. When you're in that kind of sleep where you're just balancing on the edge, you start to have really weird dreams. Or not dreams. You don't know if they're dreams or they're just thoughts or whatever's going through your head.
Leaving the strangeness of the moor and its nighttime activities behind me, I'm turning my attention to a very different experience. This land is a fortress that lies behind its fearsome coastline. It's unrivaled in its threat to shipping with strong Gulf Stream winds and undercurrents that have claimed an estimated 2,000 ships and the lives of more than 6,000 sailors. Wrecks still lie abandoned on this coast, and despite my better judgment, I'm going to get a closer look at one.
It's a mixture of all kinds of activities. It involves a bit of swimming, scrambling on the rocks, bits of climbing, and we also need a pair of shoes. There's no way we could do it in barefoot. The barnacles would just dash our feet to pieces. This one's going to be for you. So you want to try and put that one on?
Where I'm going, I need some special equipment.
So then we need to grab a helmet.
I want to find out why the Cornish coastline is considered one of the most dangerous parts of Britain.
As well as that is the emergency bag.
The best way to experience the power of the sea here is to be as close to it as I can. So I've enlisted some help to get me there.
Okay, so here you have the radio. We carry a couple of flares. You can see where to grip it, hold it there, unscrew this, hold it up high, look away, pull the trigger, and it fires the flare about 300 meters into the air.
Okay.
Even the safety briefing is terrifying.
Any idea what this might be?
A body bag.
We don't really like to call it that.
Well, that looks a lot like a body bag to me.
It's a survival bag, okay? So if any one of us was to get hurt down there today and requires some kind of evacuation, we can put them in this, help keep them warm. Okay, so we're going to Land's End. This is to visit the Mulheim shipwreck.
At this point, I realise just what I'm letting myself in for. I'm going to have to overcome one of my greatest fears.
Shipwrecks really scare me. I think it's the thought of something being in the sea that shouldn't be there.
I have an irrational fear of shipwrecks and submerged objects. My phobia is brought on whenever I look at a wreck. It makes me panic and I have trouble breathing.
One thing we do need to be very careful of is the whole cove is littered with scrap metal, okay? You're going to need to follow our guidance to approach it safely. Right, let's do it.
We're at Land's End, the most deadly stretch of British coastline for shipwrecks.
So we're not in any desperate rush, let's not kill ourselves. What's the edge?
Just getting to the start of our mission involves navigating a 200-metre vertical drop to the rocks and sea. My heart is racing. I'm way out of my comfort zone. It's too dangerous for the film crew to go with us, so we're reliant on small body-mounted cameras.
Just mind it's a bit loose in places if you need to go low and use your hands.
One false move here, and there's no stopping you.
Looks like we're heading for water.
It's pretty shallow there. You might want to wait until the wave rises up. All right. Okay, let's go. So, let's see how you can.
People around the world have died coast-steering. Deadly surges can drag people underwater or into hidden caves. Jagged rocks hidden just below the surface can be lethal.
Here we go. Go for it. Anytime now. Go, 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 go.
It's so cold it takes your breath away. The water here is an icy 15 degrees Celsius. Without a wetsuit, I'd only last 20 minutes in this water. Now there's the strong current swirling around these jagged rocks to deal with.
Come this way, come this way.
I can see just how easy it would be to lose your life if you were a sailor tossed into these waters. If the idea of jumping and climbing your way around a slippery rock face sounds dangerous,
You up for this one?
Okay.
All right.
that's because it is.
Spot right here. One step, you can think you're out anyway.
Go on, don't think, just do it. It's plenty deep enough.
It's really far to jump.
Just a confident step. It's not a big jump, it's just a confident step.
I would never attempt to do this alone, which is why I have experts Matt and Lee to guide me. They are part air sea rescue and part smuggling spirit of Cornwall. It's in their blood. And the jumps keep getting bigger.
Oh my god.
Right.
Buggery.
This one is 10 meters above the water. That's as high as an Olympic diving board.
A big confident step.
Yep.
I didn't die!
The bone-chilling cold of the sea is getting to me now, and I need a chance to recover from the freezing temperatures and the battering before the final assault on the wreck of the Mulheim.
Seriously, the waves were coming up so high, we were getting smashed around. Genuinely thought I might die.
My fear of shipwrecks is irrational. It's the idea that people could have died in the accident, and it's not something I ever thought I'd have to challenge. So now, just 100 meters in front of me is something I find utterly terrifying.
Shipwreck is the end of our coast-steering journey. Looking at that wreck genuinely makes me want to vomit. It terrifies me. I honestly cannot picture how I'm going to get past that.
I'm not sure if it's the freezing cold water or my fear kicking in, but I start to get disorientated.
Doing fine, you done fine all day?
Just these things really scare me. I don't know what it is, it's something just,
Right, look, yeah? Look.
My feet feel like lead, but with the waves crashing in, I need to move fast.
We need to get out of here before a big set comes. Grab her. Wave on, quick. Got on the other side of that rock. Take the low road, put your feet in the cracks.
oh my gosh! Jeez. I'm touching a shipwreck!
You can't really trust the footwork. You see what I'm doing? Like use edges like that.
My heart is pounding in my chest as we clamber up the slippery metal of the wreck. The very worst thing for me once we're on the Mulheim are all the dark holes. I can't see what's down there or what might be hiding in the darkness. Adrenaline is pumping through my body.
Oh, wow!
It just makes me seasick standing on something. Careful, mate.
Wow! That's like the thing I'm most scared of in the world. This is a big thing. Well done, guys.
If the sunny weather made me question the power of the Cornish sea, the trek along the coastline and that shipwreck have proved to me this is not a place I should underestimate. I don't want to use the word beautiful because it wasn't, but it was powerful. It was very powerful to look at for me. And even though I was very, very close to saying, I don't want to do this, I don't want to go there, I'm really, really glad I did it. You know, there were times when I was in the sea and I just thought, can I do this? Can I actually do this? But to have been able to do it and to have done it is just... It's a really, really good feeling because it's one of my biggest fears. I'm on a journey to discover Cornwall, its mysterious past and its present. I'm setting out in the dead of night to explore the coastline along a clifftop pass. I want to get to the bottom of a story about a graveyard where 200 sailors are buried.
I've not long arrived in Cornwall, and I was speaking to some locals down at the pub who told me about this place right on the coast. But apparently, is the final resting place for several hundred sailors who lost their lives at sea. I've heard that there are quite a few legends and stories of hauntings and quite scary goings-on that happen here. I definitely want to find out more about this place, but to be honest, right now, I don't think I want to be here.
After my aborted mission last night, I've come back to the same spot in daylight at Lizard Point, the most southerly bit of land in mainland Britain and the most notorious spot in the country for causing shipwrecks.
Would the tide being in make any difference to how much of those was showing?
Yes, oh yeah, massively so. When the tide's in, you only see that some of those rocks are submerged completely and just the tops are visible.
This Cornish beauty spot is famously hazardous to shipping. Strong onshore winds and rocks concealed just below the surface are a dangerous combination, as the crew of the HMS Royal Anne found out one stormy night in 1721.
She was a Royal Navy ship and she was taking the new governor of Barbados out to his posting. And on the night of the 10th of November, 1721, she struck Stag Rock. The crew were woken up by a large sort of wrenching noise. They all came on deck and they were sort of all desperately working to push the ship off the rocks. And not forgetting under wind power, it wasn't like you could suddenly turn on the engine and move away. So it must be an absolutely terrifying experience. We know that only 3 people survived. We understand that they pulled 200 dead up from the beach. And this is where we think they're buried.
Right beneath us?
Yes.
Pistol Meadow had to become a makeshift burial site for 200 sailors, a major tragedy compared to most wrecks at the time.
So members of the public brought the bodies up and buried them themselves?
The local community of Lizard would have come out for both to salvage, you know, what was available that was coming in off the wreck, but also to bring the dead up here.
The crew of the Anne fell victim to a local tradition known as wrecking. What this meant was locals were free by law to salvage everything they could if the entire crew were dead. They would take the cargo, any treasure, and the materials of the ship itself.
There's a long and fine tradition of storytelling around wrecking on the Cornish coast.
Are there any stories of people looting the wrecked ships?
Somewhere like the Lizard, the spoils of wrecks would have been vitally important to supported how they lived and subsisted.
I've heard stories about spells and lanterns being used to lure ships in to wreck on the rocks. Is there any truth in that?
A lantern probably wouldn't be seen from very far away. But if a local community wanted to carry on wrecking on a site, the stories of spells, witchcraft, ghosts would have kept some people away, and so it would have kept it as a more fortuitous spot to carry on recovering the items from the wreck.
To survive the dangers at sea around the rocks which wrecked the Anne, Cornish sailors developed something which became part of the lifestyle here. They needed a boat design which could be used in any weather to reach a troubled vessel to rescue sailors from drowning. The solution was the Cornish gig. I've never tried rowing before, but I want to learn and experience what it was like to be rowing out to rescue sailors from a sinking ship.
Push us away.
Gigs like this were first used in Cornwall in the 17th century. Constructed from wood, they became an essential part of the Cornish way of life. A light, fast, and very maneuverable rowboat could avoid the jagged rocks and rescue the sailors. The Cornish gig was often the difference between life and death.
You need to hold on with your hand under and over. A little bit closer, that's it. This is the leather on the oar that needs to stay within the thole pins at all times. Dip the end of the oar in the water, and then you must remember to pull it out at the end.
How do you pull it out? Because
you twist it with your wrists.
Like that?
That's it. You flick it with your wrists.
Like
Just as it comes out, flick. That's it.
It's quite a nice little noise, isn't it? Chung chung.
Because of its speed, the gig had other uses. Smugglers liked them as they could outrun their pursuers. Eventually, the government restricted the number of rowers to just 4 instead of 6, so that the tacksman stood a chance of catching these light, fast, and very seaworthy vessels. This 300-year-old design was also used to race out to approaching ships. In very bad weather, captains needed a pilot to guide them through the rocky waters around Cornwall to find port. The first boat to reach the merchant ship would get the job.
To be honest, you're doing very well, and you are actually pulling the oar through the water.
Oh, gosh.
A little bit higher. That's it. You're actually rowing. You're rowing. That's it. Just lean forward, pull it through the water. That's what's called catching a crab. Just lift it up in the air, and it will just drift back down the side of the boat, and then you start again.
I can now understand how these simple boats have saved so many lives in Cornwall.
Pass it all back.
Most people learn that fairly quickly.
Hi, Mantis.
After being up close, often too close for my liking, to the Cornish coastline, I'm learning just how dangerous the sea is. I want to find out more about the Cornish tradition of smuggling and if it's still practiced today.
What I don't know is why there's a need for it, but if I'm going to find out anywhere, it's here at the Turk's Head, oldest pub in Penzance and local haunt to many smugglers.
What shall we do with a drunken sailor? What shall we do with a drunken sailor? What shall we do with a drunken sailor early in the morning?
But I'm not here to sample the beer. Local John Brolly knows all about Cornwall's smuggling past.
Well, this is the home of smuggling, really. Cornwall's where it all happened, especially during the 18th and 19th century. It was just rife down here. It was a way of life. Everybody smuggled because there was such high taxes in the 18th and 19th century to pay for all the wars going on that people couldn't afford to buy anything. Beer or spirits, leather and salt and pepper and everything was taxed. So you just had to get it in without the excise man spotting it.
So it's absolutely rife in Cornwall?
Yep, it was a lifestyle, a way of life. So, for instance, this door right behind you is actually a secret smuggler's passage out to the harbour. This is the oldest pub in Penzance, Turk's Head, and this would have been the centre of where the contraband was brought in. And so, from the harbour, straight into here, into safety, away from the excise man.
Hooray, up she rises, hooray, up she rises, hooray, up she rises, early in the morning.
In the mid-18th century, people in Cornwall were very poor. The British government were taxing its citizens mercilessly to fund expensive wars. The locals couldn't pay these government taxes, so smuggling was seen as a matter of survival rather than a crime for profit. It's said the revenue was losing £150,000 a year in Cornwall. That's 32 million euros in today's money.
I know the coastline around here is just... it's so dangerous, so surely being a smuggler had massive risks.
The coast is dangerous, but a lot of the people down here make their living on that coast.
If you did get caught, what was the penalty?
Later on, they were sending them all off to Australia and places like that.
It does surprise me that so many people are involved in smuggling.
If you'd asked the people down here who the criminals were, they'd say it was the excise men.
Having come from elsewhere in England, it really struck me how Cornwall feels like a totally different country.
It is a different country. The people down here don't see themselves as a region, they're a nation. We've got our own language, we've got our own foods, we've got our own culture.
All the way, you're rolling king, evil way, all the way, we're bound for South Australia. All the way, you're rolling king.
They say a landscape shapes a community. I understand now why smuggling thrived in Cornwall. It was a necessity if people were to survive. But if locals took to smuggling to make ends meet, what created such an interest in Cornwall's other tradition, witchcraft? Witchcraft was very active in Cornwall and dates back well before Christianity, and I want to find out why that was.
In fact, it was only a few hundred years ago that being a witch was a dangerous business. Tortured, then hung, or burnt at the stake, seen as evil and accused of consorting with the devil.
Witchcraft has seen a resurgence in the last 30 years. Maybe I can find out the reason why here.
Peter, what is witchcraft?
Essentially, what witchcraft is, it's the use of spirits to do what we call operative magic. So that would be divination, so telling the future, healing, perhaps, cursing, also, but also finding property, lost goods, finding love for somebody. All this is operative magic, but essentially the power comes from the spirit world.
The preconception of witches and witchcraft is that it's something evil.
Magic itself is a neutral thing, and it's the intention that the person has with magic that's important. So, of course, there are some people who want to use it for bad things, and there's other people who would use it only for good.
Witchcraft dates back thousands of years and was practiced in Cornwall on a very active level long after it was outlawed in the rest of Britain. Being a witch was incredibly dangerous. Over 3 centuries, 20,000 witches in Western Europe were accused and tried. The punishments handed out could be horrific. People, usually women, would be tortured to obtain a confession, then hanged or burnt alive. Locals went to witches for help and considered them as you would your doctor today. It's the same role witch doctors have in communities. Despite centuries of persecution around Britain, there are still 53,000 people today who officially describe their religion as pagan. Followers of paganism use it for good, and they worship their own gods and goddesses.
And this painting really sums it all up. The typical picture of the witch's Sabbath. During the witch hunts, it was thought that witches went to a place where they feasted and had sex with the devil and got their powers from him. So when witches arrive at the Sabbath, they do so in their minds, and they've risen above mundane life. And they meet there the horned god, who in traditional witchcraft and in Wicca is not the devil at all. He represents the wildness of nature, human sexuality, but also he's sometimes seen as the Lord of Death. And when you look into his eyes and you see him, you learn things about your mortality.
At face value, paganism seems sinister. The god with the horns looks like the epitome of evil.
It is definitely challenging symbolism. The horned god has been associated with the devil by the church for centuries. So it's understandable that people have a sort of automatic revulsion against it.
So where does this preconception of witches putting curses on people come from?
We've got archaeological evidence that people put curses on other people. So a typical curse would be taking an image of somebody and then pinning it in a certain place with the hope of putting pain into that person's body in that particular place.
Okay. So is there a chance then that I could get cursed?
Well, witches are usually quite mild-mannered, but they may make an exception in your case.
Taking a closer look at the collection of poppets or voodoo dolls with their grisly accessories is doing nothing to increase my faith in mild-mannered witches. I need to find a nice witch who isn't going to put a spell on me.
There's one such witch who lives nearby. I've been trying to make contact and hoping she can teach me what it's like to be a 21st century witch.
She's told me to meet at her cottage on the full moon. I get the feeling I've somehow been here before.
Don't take this the wrong way, but you're really not what I expected. Can you kind of explain to me, to you, what is being a witch?
In the old sense, a witch was somebody who had entered into a working relationship with the other, with the spirit world.
Witches like Gemma believe the connection to the spirit world is through nature.
In the old days, it was referred to as a pact. The devil, in the folk sense, was very different to the devil in the church sense, because he really represents the other, the chaotic forces of nature. And the land itself was a vital feature of my path into witchcraft.
Gemma is clearly the real deal. She's even written her own book of spells.
A good spell to start with might be something like the wishing rope or the witch's ladder.
Do you think there's any chance you could show this to me?
Certainly, yes.
To create a wishing ladder spell which connects the witch to the spirits, Gemma weaves feathers together in a column. Then burns a herb resin known as dragon's blood because of its bright red colouring.
It smells floral and spicy at the same time.
Sort of earthy, musty smell as well.
The wishing ladder spell prepares the witch so she can work more effectively in the spirit world.
So the rope would be swung rhythmically to and through the smoke. Again, all the while focusing on that which you're trying to achieve.
What would be the result of doing this spell, and how would you know it had been successful?
It really depends on the intent of the spell. Again, to come back, if you're working on healing, you'd notice if the person is actually feeling like they're recovering. So you'd do the spell and then wait for the changes that you're asking for to come into effect.
Witches use all manner of objects when they're casting spells. Black cats are a traditional way to connect with the spirit world. Some things like this necklace made from snake bones are more obscure, but are thought to be no less powerful in making magic.
These represent, in the red, the fire, the blood of the witch, where the fire resides, as well as in the earth, and the blue beads represent air through which spirit forces seem to flow when we work our spells.
Underneath this necklace is an image. I've seen this around quite a lot in Cornwall. What is it?
This is what's known as a Troy stone, and it's carved with the unicircle labyrinth. So a witch might sit by the fireside and have this on their lap and slowly trace the labyrinth around and around with a finger all the way to the centre and back out again.
To guide me on the right path, Gemma has suggested various magical items she would like me to take to the next stages of my initiation.
This is a dowsing pendulum or dowsing crystal. Dowsing might be used to detect an atmosphere of a place. You can ask, is this a friendly space? Is this a dangerous space? People have used dowsing pendulums to divine whether a source of water might be safe to drink.
A ceremonial wand or dagger is also required.
This is known as the black-handled knife. In some traditions, it's known as the athame. This particular example has an iron blade with a human bone handle, and this would be used within the circle when we're doing rituals for exorcism.
You've very kindly invited me to join you at your coven tonight, but I am really very nervous. What can I expect?
I think fear is quite important, I think, in magic. It's that catalyst for entering into that relationship with the other world. You can either turn and run from it, or you can stay with it and surrendering to it. And in that, you have the realization that you are one with your surroundings. You're not some alien creature that shouldn't be there.
Having met a real witch, my perception of what being one means has changed. And my initiation as a witch is about to go much deeper.
I'm on the next step of my journey into witchcraft.
At Gemma's suggestion, I'm looking for a real-life coven in a secret location. My heart is pounding in my chest with a mixture of fear and excitement.
Be this fire hallowed by blade, by will, and by breath. A beacon to alight the paths of spirit. Illumine our craft.
Gemma leads the others in preparing for the ritual.
Stir thee, O serpent red, coiled in the land. Give unto our blood the breath, and let our cunning burn. So shall it be.
So shall it be.
So shall it be.
This is a unique experience, as it's the first time a coven in Cornwall has allowed their ritual to be filmed. I feel honoured to be given such an opportunity. I'm under strict instructions from Gemma to keep my distance from the coven as they begin to circle the fire in a ritual known as treading the mill. A coven is a pagan term. It's a gathering of female witches and male wizards who come together on the full moon. Gemma's coven is designed to cast good spells. The practice of witchcraft in Cornwall has been a carefully guarded secret for centuries. It might look like something from a scary storybook, but the intent is to do good. This coven is like nothing I have ever seen. Before the effect of watching becomes too hypnotic, I slip away into the darkness.
It was an incredible experience. I got drawn into it so easily, and I didn't expect that because, honestly, that doesn't happen really to me. And I don't know whether it was the fact that it was the energy or the chanting or the movement. But I was sat there and I was on the outside, and I found myself just being absolutely drawn in. And at times I totally lost myself.
I've almost completed my initiation. I've realised that witches are not what I thought they were. Seeing the coven in action has convinced me that they can be a force for good. But are all witches the same? I'm told there was a witch who was said to be particularly malevolent, unlike Gemma. This legendary character from the 17th century was believed by some to cast spells from this point, which lured ships onto the rocks below. The name of this evil witch was Magifiggy. It's said she could be seen high above the cove on this rocky throne. When the wind blew, she would work furiously at her cauldron, brewing up even bigger storms to drive the ships ashore and drown all those on board. But I'm not planning on luring any ships to their doom today. Having experienced this place and its dangers, it feels right to cast a spell of protection. I've brought along various magical devices, like my crystal ball, which is used to see into the future. The bells are for good luck, so that should help my spell. The dowsing crystal tests for positive energy. Used around the world in spells, the Tibetan Furba is my version of a witch's magic wand. Now for the hard part, This takes a lot of concentration and a focusing of my intent. It definitely feels as if the spirits are beginning to swirl around me. The energy from Gemma's spell and my experience of the magical coven last night is giving me an extra boost.
Ana bekoach gedulat sura. Ana bekoach gedulat sura. Ana bekoach gedulat sura.
Repeating the line increases the power of the spell.
Ana bekoach gedulat sura. Ana bekoach gedulat sura. Ana bekoach gedulat sura. Ana bekoach.
Just as the coven were clearly absorbed by their ritual, I can feel the presence of something powerful. Once you get over how strange it feels to be reciting some very alien words, you do sense the magic of a very special, very beautiful place.
Witchcraft is clearly something you're not going to pick up in a couple of days. But I do feel with what I have learnt and what I've tried out, I'm really starting to get a sense of it and a sense of the power that comes with it.
I'm at the end of my journey, and for me, Cornwall has earned its reputation for danger and mystery. I was terrified by my trek along the coastline to confront a violently wrecked ship.
Right, look here.
I was frightened stiff by spending a night alone on the moors, and amazed by the eerie beauty of a real-life witch's coven.
So shall it be?
Cornwall has a very special charm of feeling like it's its own country, and it has been such an intense journey.